What's up, guys? Today's video is going to be a story that I tried for the longest time to just tell, but to be honest, I haven't really shared it because it happened a while ago, and I also feel like it's irrelevant, but at the same time, it was such an important time in my life that I feel I should share. Um, so if you're not into stories, because trust me, this is going to be a long one, I recommend that you don't waste your time here because I'm just going to share an experience that I had. But if you're all for hearing about stories or if you just want to get to know me a little better, then this will definitely be a good stream to sit through. But I just want to save you the trouble. This is not going to be a video in which I voice an opinion like I normally do or in which I uh, express ideas or dreams of mine, anything like that. This is something that actually happened to me. So, with that said, let's just dive into it. So, 5 years ago, around this time, I had tried to move with my mother to the state of Kansas. If you're not familiar with the United States geography, Kansas is in the very center of the United States. And I am actually from the East Coast. So, to move to Kansas, we're talking about some 16 hours away driving, and that is like 1,100-ish miles or so. And my mother and I decided to completely by ourselves hop on a U-Haul truck and head out there. And of course, if you're wondering how we were going about this wasn't exactly a random move like, oh yeah, we're just gonna pack up and go and just crash over there. No, we knew some people. Or more specifically, my mom knew somebody from way back in the day. And this person was trying to start a business. And because when you start a business, the first thing that you want to do is have your stuff together, but also have someone whom you can trust. My mother is definitely a go to person when it comes to that. And given that my mother was a teacher and she had an excellent record and reputation, this person was the mother of a child who my mother once taught. So they maintained a good friendship for many, 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 many years. And this is, I'm talking about more than a decade ago. So just to give you an idea about that. Around this time, my mother also kept asking me what I wanted to do with my life. Around this time, I had finished high school and I was taking some time off because I was just overwhelmed. I was just burned out. And as a result, I told my mother that I had no interest in going to college because I knew that I was not going to have it in me to focus and do any work. And when I get mentally fatigued, I just do not function. No matter how interesting the subject is, how passionate I am about something, I just cannot force interest into myself. And that is exactly what was happening to me around this time. So I just told her, Mom, I just need time off, just time to do nothing. When you're a kid, your time off is during summer, but when you're a child, you can only do so much. Like as an adult, especially if you're driving, which at the time I wasn't, I was learning how to drive at the time. Having a car really changes your life. You have so much freedom. And when you are older, you also have different kinds of freedom. Like you can go out by yourself, you can meet people, talk to people. You don't have that rule set in place of do not talk to strangers and stuff. I just wanted to have a life outside of the protection of school's walls and the house's walls. So, anyways, one day mom asked a question about whether we wanted to move to another city or go to Kansas to help this person. And I said, you know what, Mom? We should go for it. We should have an adventure. We don't have any children, like, we don't have any babies or anything. We don't have a lot of stuff. We don't have a house. We can just pack up and go. So why not? And then because I knew about Kansas from a geographical perspective, I knew that it wasn't the right place for me. for me. I knew that it wasn't going to be my favorite place. And hello, Lee Jones, I see you. Greetings. I knew it wasn't the right place for me because I like for my residence, my place of residence to just be different. I like for it to have different landscapes. I like for it to be diverse. But Kansas, from what I saw on a map, it was just flat. And when we started to approach that area during our drive, I'm like, yeah, we're definitely close because this is exactly what I had read and what I was anticipating. And I'm already hating it. Like, everything felt so deserted, so distant, so spacious. And even trees for me were difficult to find. Like, I'm used to seeing so many trees, especially around this area, but it was an adjustment that I knew that I couldn't make permanently. So I kept telling my mother, Mom, I don't know what or how or when. I know why, but I'm not sure how. But by the time September rolls around, I'm gonna get out of here. And I'm going back to our home state because this is just not the environment for me. This is not the setting for me. I was frustrated. I was missing home too much already. And although I don't have that many connections here, like I don't have a lot of family here to tell you the truth, and I don't have that many friends, or let alone friends who I stay in touch with, I didn't really have an attachment to my home state like that. So it was kind of a conflict. I just liked being here. I liked the environment here. And Kansas just wasn't doing it for me. So I said to mom, this is going to be an ultimate challenge for me personally. And when it comes to my capacity as a person to be able to pick myself up from like the very bottom. And what I mean by the very bottom is my mother and I pretty much left everything behind. Well, we brought our stuff with us, but she had a career already and she had stuff going on for her, whereas I really didn't. But I knew how stuff in my state worked to where if I wanted to, I could get rolling. But, I said to mom, let's just embark on this challenge and let's see how life treats us. So, anyways, let's dive into the details now. We got into that truck and then we were crossing so many states. It was an amazing experience to be on the road for that long because you get to experience a change in scenery that you wouldn't have otherwise done because it's not like you're saying, oh, yeah, I'm going to get in a car and just drive up or down the highway and just check other places. This is something that happened with a plan. So it was exciting to see new, different things, but none of the states that we crossed through were speaking to me. I'm like, wow, I'm just so ready to come back. So, with that mindset, I guess that was my gut telling me that I was just headed in the wrong direction. And I remember specifically my environmental science teacher. I told him about what I was getting ready to do, that I was moving to Kansas, and he was like, Kansas? What the hell are you going to Kansas for? And I'm like, I am trying to help someone start a business, and I have skills that will benefit them. And so does my mother, and they need people whom they can trust to get this started. So, whom better than us? And I promise you that I will return, because I know that my future is here. Anyways, I that stood out to me so much because hearing him say that, and at the time he was one of the people I was closest with, I'm like, wow, at least I know that mentally I am correct when I say that this is not going to be the trip for me. But, anyways, so of course, my mother was the driver because she was the only licensed person at the time between us. And of course, she was becoming increasingly frustrated and tired as the hours passed by. We spent 2 days on the road, and we would occasionally stop to rest and take naps, sleep as much as we could. We weren't staying in hotels or anything because we wanted to save that money, given that at the time we had bought my car. So we needed to keep paying for that. And then we also had our cell phone bill and just basic things like that that we needed to keep um, paying for. So I just said to mom, you know what? I don't need to be comfortable. All I need is a roof and somewhere that I can just sit down and I can find rest. All that I need to rest is to feel tired and sleepy, and I will fall asleep anywhere. So we're not the kind of people who just need to have optimal conditions and comfort all the time. We had plenty of water, and the weather was not as miserably hot as it could get. I mean, it would get hot because it's the summertime, but at least at the time, it wasn't like, wow, I want to just just kill me already, you know? Nah, nothing like that. But the weather did make it challenging at some point, but preparation, that's all it takes. Anyways, so we let's skip to the arrival. We finally arrived, and like always, when you are arriving somewhere, people are excited to see you, and you are welcome, and you get to settle down, and you get all the help that you need, etc. And the first thing that my mom and I said was, "We need to take a shower," because we felt sticky because it's hot and it's miserable weather. So that was part of mom's frustration too. She was like, I'm just ready to feel better and be comfortable. And then I said to her, we talked about this. I told you that it would get rough around here. So don't worry about it. Everything will be okay. Just make sure that you don't do something stupid out of the frustration and desperation. Just stay chill, stay cool. This is not something that's going to be the rest of our lives. That's how I handle stress. I understand that stuff will be difficult, so I give myself the preamble. And when I know what to expect, I don't get frustrated. If I can anticipate misery, then I know that when I go through it, it's not something that comes as a shock and a surprise. So maybe that's one of the things that makes me a mentally strong person. But, anyways, she, of course, at the time didn't understand that, but after the experience, we talked about it, and she was like, you know what, you're right. I'm so glad that you were there and telling me that. And, I said to mom, remember that we don't have any responsibilities. I don't have school to go back to. We don't have kids that are with us. We are doing this at a perfect time. So just relax. Anyways, so of course, we moved in with this family. It was a family of, there was the father, the mother, a girl, and a boy. They were teenagers. The girl was around my age, and then the boy was like maybe 6 years younger than us, something like that. And here's where stuff starts getting messy. When we arrive, mom and I are two people who we know how to be focused. When we focus on something, we dedicate to it. We are dead set on getting our gears grinding to deal with that because we are people who know how to get things done. So when we got there, I maybe after 2 or 3 days, I pulled mom aside. And if you're wondering what kind of business we were trying to get started, it was a bakery. This lady had some really good skills, apparently, to make cakes and pastries and whatever, chocolate covered strawberries and stuff like that. So, so she wanted to start a bakery, and then I pulled mom aside on like the second or third day, and I'm like, Mom, when are we going to deal with the business stuff again? Like, when do we finally get to work to start a business or whatever, um and then she was like, it's kind of strange that we aren't talking about it either. Like, I tried to bring up the conversation, but because it's been like a decade since I caught up with these people, clearly we're getting sidetracked and distracted and just talking about what has happened on our lives, in our lives during that time. And I feel like you, I'm ready to get working, but I mean, let's just be good civilized people, good I don't know, people who are guests and whatever, and just listen to them and share what has happened in our lives too. And then I'm like, okay, but just know that I'm eager to get working because I prepared for this. I came here with a plan. I'm ready to voice it, but I don't see that we're sitting down, getting together, tossing ideas onto the table about how to get a business started. So, I'm taking this seriously. We made this move. The expenses came out from our pockets, and we moved out here to make things work. So I'm not here to waste time. So my mother and I would go to the library pretty often because pretty much every day. They had Wi-Fi, but it was with you had to use like this scan disk looking thing. It's like a USB where Wi-Fi comes out of it somehow. I don't know. I never really used it. I just saw it. So I'm like, there's no internet in the house, and our phones were not smartphones at the time. So I need to get some applications submitted because I have a goal of going back home by September. And I am a woman of word. When I say I am making something happen by X date, I fulfill it by X date. I don't play games. So, mom and I would go to the library, fill out applications. We really didn't have much luck during the first week. So, I was becoming increasingly frustrated because I'm like, okay, my time available and off to be working on this business is going wasted because no one is talking about it. No one is organizing how to get the business rolling. So, I need to do something. I need to have a job. I need to start making money because I have a goal of going back to where I came from. So, anyways, and then because applications were not really giving us responses, I was frustrated because I knew it would be particularly challenging to me since I did not really have anything going on for me as a person who's looking for her first job. Also, I was not a person who did a lot of community activities or anything, and I'm in a new state, which means that what I express about my education is pretty much understood and applicable for my home state better than if you go out of state, which is freaking absurd. But of course, they'll probably give preferential treatment to someone who has A, experience, and B, an education that's recognizable. And when I just state my high school's name, it's like, yeah, you're just a youngster, whatever. So I wasn't given any kind of preferential treatment, which I understand. But in a situation like mine at the time, I'm like, wow, I'm just ready to start doing something. I got the talent, I got the energy, I got the body to do things, just let me get started. So, anyways, that wasn't yielding anything. So, at around this time, actually, toward the middle of June, I believe we embarked on this trip on June the 10th, and then by the 23rd or so, we were leaving already. But, anyways, so it kept being that way. Nothing was happening. We were not discussing how to get this bakery started. They had an accountant. We met up with the accountant. It was myself, my mother, and the daughter for some reason. Oh, yeah, because the mother had a job at the base. Fort Riley, I think it was called. Yeah. She worked over there during the daytime, I think at a gas station, convenience store type of deal. So it was up to us during the daytime to be meeting up with this man to discuss how to get this bakery started. And during one of the appointments that we had with this accountant guy, mom and I were alone somehow. And then the girl who also lived with this family, the daughter of the family, I guess I should say, she somehow had a job with him. I guess she was kind of like a secretary, just putting files away for him or something. And then at some point, he sent her somewhere to like another room. And then she told my mother and I individually, you know what? I would be more eager to help you ladies start a business more than this freaking family. And then mom and I looked at each other and we were like, what? And then basically, what he was trying to say is that my mother and I were demonstrating more perseverant traits and more of a plan and organization and understanding of what it takes to get a business started than the family. because we pretty much had a plan. We had a layout in our brains. We just needed to put it into paper, and he would give us handouts for us to like fill out and have the details written down so that he could check up on them later, since he knew the, legal aspect and, whatever you need to get a business started, the details of it. And then he was like, you ladies have something already going on for you. And I know that if we were to go over this packet verbally, you have a direction. These people don't. And then I made a comment to him about how I had been telling mom that these people's function was just not there. Their focus was not there. Like in our, I want to say, week that we had been there, the topic of the business never came up. And I was becoming frustrated. I'm like, Mom, we came here to get something started. Why am I not seeing action? And if I'm not seeing action, why are we not having the conversation? We're just wasting time meeting up with people, being in a social type of circle, because they knew some other people who would throw parties like every weekend or so, and they were spending a lot of time over there. And I'm like, when someone has a plan to get something started, you are a busy ass person. When you're getting a business started, you are a busy ass person. When you're looking for a job, you are a busy ass person. So you should not have time to be going over there to be social, to where the socializing that you're doing is not productive to your future plans. And not only that, but you're also investing money, which you really do not have to throw away. Because if you had extra money to just throw away, you would not be desperate to start a gig on the side to give you extra money. But, anyways, that's just me. Um, but, anyways, so when the accountant said that, I made a comment to mom, just telling her, you know what, this is going to be more challenging than I thought, because we have to establish now a communication, and we have to get these people somehow focused and interested in their own goal, which is this business. And they're wasting your time, my time, which we don't have. We need income because we have this, you know, bill, the car that we have to take care of. We have the phone that we have to take care of. And if we are not making business, we cannot just deplete our savings irresponsibly. We need to have something going already. So, anyways, one evening it happened. Problems after problems after problems. For some reason, we got into an argument with the family, like particularly the lady, the wife of the household. She was like, we saw you ladies driving by um, so and so place. I don't remember the name of the streets. And then mom and I were like, what? We were something that made us uncomfortable. And I said to mom initially was, how come we don't have a key to the house? How come we don't have a way to get into the house? If we're living here, if we have our own car and we're going out to do things, why do we have to wait for someone to be here or for us to pick up one of the kids for us to be able to get into the house? One of the kids clearly does not need to have a key. Two responsible grown ass adults like us do. So somehow find a fucking key. And anyways, so I don't know why, but they never gave us a key. And for me, that was a major red flag. I hated not having a key. But anyways, these people were in that social setting that I just talked to you guys about. And then one of the people in that social setting was saying that they saw us driving by. And I'm like, Mom, how can we possibly drive by a place that we do not know how to get to? We had only been there once and we did not care to go back there. But basically, it turned into a gossip kind of drama and, junk. And I'm just not happy about that. I'm someone who does not like to give people motives to talk about me. And even if we had been driving by there as we allegedly were, which we weren't, we have a right to the road. We pay taxes. We have a car. We can drive. We have licenses. Well, my mom has a license. So why does it matter to you that we are over there? So it's the kind of people who will try to like criticize you over nothing. And for me, I'm like, Mom, we are very, very far away from our family because our family is toxic. These are toxic people as well. If this is what we moved out here for, I'm not interested. Let's go back right now. But, anyways, so that was one of the instances. And then another issue I was having was the girl. I guess because we are the same age or something, she was trying to just be cool with me. I was maybe a year older than her or a month older. I forget which one it is, but anyways, she was trying to educate me on how to take care of myself and my appearance. Like, we don't have exactly the same hair type. Mine is the kind of curly hair that is manageable, and hers is like a really like more delicate, more uncooperative, crispy curly hair. And what I mean by that is you it gets tangled easily. It's a very fragile type of hair. And my hair has its fragility, but it is not difficult to deal with. And then this girl is a diva. I nicknamed her the diva. And when I nicknamed her the diva, Mom was laughing because she said, "You know what? You could not have thought of a better name." And I said, "Mom, she is a diva because look at her. She is always like in the bathroom. She is always looking at herself in the mirror. She has all these clothes and fluffy stuff and like just caring too much about her appearance and her shoes this, her shoes that. And then she is also trying to tell me how to take care of my own body. And I'm like, excuse me, you know your body and I know my body. How about if you worry about your business and I worry about my business? So that was getting annoying because I do not like to be told how to look, how to do something, how to act, how to behave, because I am me and I have that defined already. So, of course, the girl took offense to that because I was very firm in my position. I'm like, okay, if you really want for me to brush my hair while it's wet, if it works for you, that works on your hair. But on my hair, I am not going to do that because my hair is pretty fragile to where when it's wet, it breaks easily. Everyone's hair will break easily when it's wet. It's just the rule of nature. If you abuse your hair like that, that is your problem. But you cannot expect for me to take your advice when you just arrived in my life a week ago and I have been taking care of my body for 20 years now. I know what works for my hair and what doesn't. And guess what? I also do not care about appearance that much. I will keep wearing my tennis shoes and my t-shirts, and my better clothes, I will save them for when the occasion demands it. But if you like to look all dolled up, that's on you. But do not tell me how to look. I don't need your help. So we were having those kinds of clashes. I was never intruding her business, but for some reason, she wanted to be all up in my business about my appearance or the car too. The moment that she saw our car, she was like, "That car is so pretty." Da 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 da. And she was trying to get her license too. She was like, I have tried to get my license, but I keep failing the test." And then we kept giving her tips. My mom would even take her out. I think on two occasions they went out so that she could practice how to drive. And then mom would come back and tell me the story, and she was like, she is going to struggle to get this license because for some reason she doesn't get it. And that's okay. Some people can learn at a faster rate than others, and others just don't. I'm someone who you show me something the first time, and as long as it's not mathematical, I get it. But she needed a little extra time. That's okay. Don't hate me for just having a natural inclination for understanding how things work. It also helps me that I ever since I was in middle school, I would ask mom random questions about the road. Like, "Mom, I see that you tend to, I don't know, speed up in this area. Why do you do that? Or slow down during this area. Why do you do that? Or what does this button on the car do? Why do we never use it?" And then she would explain stuff to me and give me tips. Like, whenever you find yourself driving, This is what you do in a situation like this. When you're rounding a curve, make sure that you slow down because that makes it easy for the car to like lose control, for you to lose control of the car. And then I'm like, you know what, mom, that makes sense. Yes, I get it. Loss of motion, da 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 da. So, anyways, I had a great mother who can coach me about stuff the moment it happens. So, not every child has had that, and I'm pretty sure that this girl did not have that, especially given the attitude that the mother was displaying. So, anyways, and then speaking of the mother, at some point, she was treating me kind of poorly. I guess she was just frowning at me over the fact that I would just grill her daughter with the stupid shit she would tell me. Like one time, we were at a gas station and she was trying to bite my head off over me using the phone inside the car. And I think it was her mom or her dad refueling, one of them. Someone was refueling, who wasn't me. And then she was like, you need to turn off your phone because otherwise the car is going to explode. And I'm like, it will not. And then she was trying to give me a science lesson. And I'm like, for your information, my inclination is the sciences. When it comes to a higher education, you do not want to engage me in a scientific conversation because you will have a bad time. Do not test me. So, anyways, after I was done with her, she was like all like curled up, I guess I don't even know if she cried, but I guess she did. I don't remember. But anyways, her parents noticed that, she was feeling some type of way, and of course, maybe when they were away, they asked what happened, and she must have told them that I probably probably her words must have been something like, she gave me an attitude and she was mean to me, this and that. And I'm like, I did not give you an attitude and I was not mean to you. It's just that you are a sensitive little cookie and I am not. I know my information. I am somewhat educated and I am proud of it. I'm not going to do something that's going to endanger the lives of those around me. And you were trying to accuse me of such a thing. Of course, I am going to get defensive, but I will do it like the lady that I am with words that have truth to them. If you cannot handle it because you lost your case, that's on you, girl. Just take it, move on, apologize if necessary, be like, you know what, Zam, I messed up. I tried to mess with you, but you roasted me. Move on with your life, you know? But that's beside the point. And then another time was that we were doing some shopping. We were at Walmart and they were looking for soy milk. And there were many varieties, but I specifically remember telling mom that she should pick up the organic one. And then the girl was telling her mom that she hates organic stuff, that she doesn't eat organic. And I was like, oh, goodness, Jesus, this just when I thought it could not get any worse. Even with food, we're going to have issues. And not only that, but she is not very aware of what it means to be consuming things that are different, like conventional versus organic and stuff like that. And at this time was the time that I was becoming better educated on health, not fitness yet, but just healthy eating in general. And I was discovering the horrors of the food industry. So I was passionate about it. And therefore, I was trying to implement that into my personal life, which is live a healthier life. But then I'm competing against someone who the proper term for her would be ignorant. And unfortunately, I am living in her house, so I have to abide by the rules of them. And that's when that night I just pulled mom aside and I said to mom, I about had it. I'm ready to go. We need to go. These people just are not, their mind is not set on their goal. I am. I I can I have the capacity of being the manager of this thing. Like we had the accord over the phone before we moved out here to, execute my functions. I am ready. But these people are not, and they are the ones whose business this belongs to. So, what are we going to do? We need to just go. We need to do something. We're wasting too much time. And I am not feeling comfortable. I am not happy here. And when I am not happy, I get frustrated and desperate and I'm just ready to go. And I do not like the pressure of competing against someone like who is my age, and for some reason she sees me as a threat. I swear she was treating me like I'm a threat, and I'm like, girl, chill out. I'm not here to take over your kingdom. I don't have any interest in that. I was already living a perfectly happy life back home. I'm here to help you and your family, because if your mother had to call my mother up, it's because she clearly cannot handle it on her own. So I am here to help you, but you are getting in my way. You are interfering, So just chill out. So one night, the bomb exploded and we all got in an argument. I don't remember how it happened, but I remember that the other woman, like the wife, was telling my mom, they were just having a back and forth, and my mom was sitting by the corner of a bed, and she was like, she had a really like soft tone. Like my mom is not the conflictive type, unless she really has to. And then this lady was just yelling at her and screaming at her and calling her a liar in my face. And I said, hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on. What? First of all, you do not talk to my mother like that. And second of all, you do not accuse her of being a liar in my face because I have been with her the whole time. So apologize to her and do not disrespect her because my mother is a wonderful woman and you simply do not talk to my mom like that, especially in front of my nose. So I was angry. Like, I was so angry that I physically had to start biting my fingers because I felt this like urge and just impulse to just have at it with her. Like, I never ever thought about leaping at someone and just wow, at them. But the fact that my mother was being attacked, and my mom, of course, she was not going to compete against her and like go down to her level by arguing back. But the fact that this was happening in front of my face, and I know that it's not true, and I know that it's fake, like nothing makes me more angry than witnessing an injustice. I lose it. And that's exactly what was happening. My mom was being accused, she was being called a liar, and I know that's not true. So I lose my shit. So, anyways, in the end, we got into a nasty argument. I got into a back and forth with her. I was pretty much dragging her with my words. And then the husband, of course, came over and he was like, what the fuck is happening? And then I was like, well, your woman is mistreating my mom. And there was no way that I was going to stand there and tolerate that. Do something. So then, of course, he was attacking me, saying that I don't have a right to be getting loud in his house, da 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 da. Basically, playing the this is my house, therefore you're under my rule card on me. And I'm like, bitch, I'm getting out of here. So open up that freaking basement where all my stuff is at. And I am taking my stuff with me. Just I'll go get a truck or something. It was nighttime, so there was no way that I could do this. But I'm like, I want to go home. I was incredibly frustrated, and now that I tell the story again, it's like I feel it in my veins, like that anger, legit anger. That's the only time in my life, guys, that I have ever been legitimately angry, and like my face was red, like my face was hot too. Like, yeah, I just remember it. I narrate it now, and it's like I feel that fury again. But anyway, so in the end, the next day we pretty much had our stuff packed up because they had a pretty nice basement where we were able to just stuff everything in there. So the next day, the guy helped us take our stuff to a friend who mom knew in Kansas, but he was in another town. It was called Manhattan, and we pretty much hauled our stuff over there, and just left our stuff partly out because this guy lived in a studio. So we took the fragile stuff like electronics and junk. We put those inside, and then the rest of the stuff had to stay outside. And Kansas during the summer is no joke. I knew this. The weather over there is no joke. I definitely studied about that because one of the first things I learn about any place I go to is the weather. If you know me personally and I'm getting ready to visit you, that's the first thing I ask. How is the weather over there? And, I knew that Kansas was a dangerous place. And that very, very, very day in the evening, there was this big storm that just rolled in. Like, I have never heard thunder that frightening in my life. And the wind was also picking up. And I was just looking at the clouds and junk, and I said, we are going to have not only a tornado watch, but a tornado warning. So I kept refreshing and refreshing from my iPod, the weather app, refreshing and refreshing. And I kept seeing all of those alerts, and I was like, oh my God, we're going to get toe up. And, I was also devastated because my car at the time was also new. So I'm like, oh my God, it's going to get all toe up. And I don't think we have full coverage on this mug. So, anyways, so it was particularly frustrating because mom and I then had our reflective time of what went wrong, what happened, what could we have done better, why did that happen, and just how did it get out of control, and etc. And then I said to Mom, this is a frustrating experience. We are homeless now. We don't have anywhere to go. Like, your friend can only help us for so long. And he was a guy in the military too. He was in the army. So he would leave during the day and then he would entrust us with his studio for us to just chill at. And then I said to mom, well, the applications are not giving us any answers. The money that we have is just enough for us to once again take our stuff and haul it back, but maybe not quite all the way home, but we need to crash somewhere. So mom happened to have a connection in another state that was neighboring our home state. So we got a truck so that we could tow my car and then put our stuff up in it and then leave. And that journey took maybe a day and a half. And we were exhausted. We were kind of frustrated again because the weather was incredibly miserable. And, anyways, what matters is we survived. And then we arrived at this guy's place. And then this guy wasn't necessarily the most awesome dude either. So, fortunately, mom was asking me to look for places where we can eat, like shelters and junk. And I said, you know what? There's the soup kitchen. Let's go over there. So we went over there and we happened to meet an amazing guy who he wasn't really the guy who ran the church, he was the cook, but everyone would call him the father of the church. So, amazing person. We got to know him. To this day, we still stay in touch with him. Matter of fact, mom and I keep talking about visiting him. We need to get that going. But, anyways, so we were able to just pick a storage, take our stuff, leave it there, and then it wasn't until almost a year later, after we returned to our home state, that we were not able to go get our stuff. But what we did was we loaded all the essentials and the fragile stuff, except for the TV, into my car. So my keyboard and all of our clothes, or most of them, yeah, it was most of our clothes because not all of them could make it. We just picked the clothes that we needed for the season. And unfortunately, we were hoping that within 4 months or so we could get our stuff back, but it turned out that um, we did get hired, but it took my mom a little longer to get hired, and I only had a part time. So we could not quite afford to have an apartment, but we started going to like thrift stores to buy some winter clothes, and that was fun because I had never shopped at a thrift store before. But what ended up happening was from this second state that we were staying at, I called up my best friend at a time and I was like, is there any way that I can borrow your backyard? And she was like, borrow my backyard. And I said, girl, long story short, you know how I was moving to Kansas? Well, it all went to shit. So I need somewhere where I can crash until I get hired somewhere. And she was like, "You ain't staying in my backyard, you're staying in my house." So I was like, "Even better. I just want you to know that my mother and I do not mean to bother you. We just need somewhere where we can just have a day to rest, and then the next day start looking for jobs desperately, because we love to have our own place. We love to have our own space. We like to have our own home." So so we started that. I got hired maybe within 2, 3 weeks. I want to say it was 2 weeks. And it happened to be around my birthday too. So when I started at my job, my former manager told me, happy birthday. And I was like, oh my God, yeah. It was like 6 days after. But it was exciting because I looked at it as this is the job that I wanted. And it also happened around my birthday. So it was kind of my birthday gift in disguise. And then yeah, at least we were making some money to where we didn't have to lose our pretty much freshly bought car and junk, and we could pay for bills. And at some point, I needed help to pay one of the bills, but fortunately, at the time, I had my boyfriend at the time, and he was like, "Girl, I've been so worried about you, this and that. If you need help, I'm here for it." And even though he wasn't in the position to really help, he still did it. So I was like, "Dude, I don't know when or how I'll get back to you, but I'll get back to you." So it was good to not be completely alone. It was good that I had those connections going on for me. And of course, when I look back, it looks like we made a mistake, like it was an irresponsible move, but mom and I have arrived at the consensus that we needed that experience to test our abilities, our organizational skills, and also how to just survive when stuff goes wrong. It sounds like a terrible experience. It sounds like a terrible, horrible, miserable time. Especially that 1 week when we were pretty much homeless. We didn't have anywhere to really go. It seemed scary, especially nighttime. But we always tried to pick places that were there was movement. Nowhere deserted. And we were safe. We made it. And looking back, I would love an adventure like that again, because the difference now is that I have a different view, and that my way of dealing with things is different, and I also have resources on me. Like at the time, I didn't have any money with me because I used to not work. So I had money saved up because anytime I would visit my family, they would give me a couple of bucks. And I'm not someone who's like, oh, money, and I go spending it crazily. The biggest investment I had done was the keyboard, which was like $200, I think. And then I still had money left over from that. So despite not having a job, I was able to pay 1 month of our car on my money. And then mom was like, I don't want to touch your money yet, but it's good to know that you have such an amount. So I guarded that little wallet, or I kept that money with my life because I knew that a lot was depending on that. And if we had the car, then we were good, because we can move and we have a medium of transportation that's reliable and it's new, so it's not gonna need service and stuff. So we had that to our advantage. It's not like, wow, we were completely naked when it comes to this. And then looking back, I'm grateful for that experience, because had it not been for that, I would not have ended up in my best friend's place, and then we would not have had that time of living together and just connecting. And we made great memories at the time. And I also got to work where I work at, where I met amazing people. And I also have learned so much, and it has shaped me in great ways. I owe my job so much. And also the people in there, of course. It's pretty much the people that I have to be most grateful for. And looking back, if we had chosen to live in the city that mom was suggesting for us to live at, I always wonder, what would life have been like back then? Where would I be now? Who would I know now? What would I be doing now? And I feel like everything happened in just the perfect way for us to be here. And this is the best place that we've ever been at. This is the happiest we've been at. Mom is not entirely pleased with her job now because stuff has changed, and she's experiencing some frustrations. But then I told her, a woman of your talents is needed. So you have a degree in teaching. Every time I look at job sites, that's all they're looking for: teachers, 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 teachers. So, girl, you have it in you. If you're not that happy, don't be afraid to skip out. We need the income, but I know that with what I make, we can sustain ourselves for a little bit. But don't be afraid to make the move. If we have to go back to Kansas level status, where we get creative to just survive on very little, we'll do it. I can get rid of all this shit and start over. This is meaningless to me. All that I have is an insane amount of clothes, and I can let go of all this and start over at some point. I'm not afraid. So, so yeah, you guys, that's pretty much my Kansas story. It's the story of how my mother and I had a great intention to go help someone, and then this person interpreted it as we were trying to take over their home, and not only their home, but also their business. I failed to mention this. That lady was mad because we were displaying so much knowledge and just the aspects of starting a business that she was just unaware about. I told her, do you have a plan on how you're going to label things like nutrition facts, people's allergies? Do you have those posted anywhere? Like, what are your ingredients? How do you make these things? Um, your prices, you don't even have that little shop where you're going to set this up. Do you have a plan for that? Do you have a method on how to pay for that space? Because you have to pay rent to run your little business. Do you have a marketing strategy? Like, do you have posters already designed, flyers? How are you going to promote this stuff? And when I would talk to her like that, she was like intimidated. I think she was unaware of the legal aspects of the business as well. And she was just clueless. And I said, you wasted such great resources, my mom and I, because we know about this stuff. We just happen to be knowledgeable people. You wasted us, lady. And we are trustworthy people. We would never like do you dirty or anything. And you wasted us. And not only that, but you mistreated us, and pretty much tried to stump us over nothing because you decided to listen to other people influencing you, and you believed them more than you believed us. And how are they helping you in your dream to start this business? It was frustrating. That has to be the second, or well, my first experience, because this happened before the story of that guy that I described as my worst experience with a person. But when it comes to these folks, this has to be the most frustrating collaborative experience that I've ever had. Because you know what it's like that you have good intentions and you have the energy and the desire to help this person pursue their stuff, and then they do you like that. It sucks. But at the same time, thanks to that experience, my mom and I are able to measure ourselves and be like, you know what? We are a pair of badasses because we made it through that. And sincerely, if I found myself in that position again, I would do it again. And I know that I'll have many lessons to learn, and just the adventurous aspect of it as well. We got to drive through like halfway through the country and stuff. So that was exciting. We got to see different things that we just in our regular lives didn't get to. And we also happened to learn more about people and their behavior. And I guess that experience is also what makes me be a little distant and guarded when it comes to people and groups of people. Because let me tell you, people are so easily influenced. I have mentioned this before, I'm sure. But the reason my parents' marriage failed is because my father was so easy to influence. He would opt for believing in other people before believing my mother. He would give other people my mother's place. And I'm like, no, you have your wife, you have your home, you have your kid. You have to make them the priority. You cannot make other people the priority. And your the way you present yourself in society, that cannot be the priority. You don't have to have an image. You don't have to like what I mean by that is you don't have to impress people. I feel like my father focused too much in impressing people. And I'm like, no, the image in society that you need to be worried about is that you don't steal from people, you don't lie to people, you don't use people, you don't abuse people, you don't neglect people. That is the kind of image that you should exhibit. But if you're not worried about that, if you're more worried about impressing people by being showy, then you need to have your priorities checked. And honestly, that's the same thing that happened with these people, except that we're not dating, we're not in marriage. It's they decided to believe other people, they got influenced, and then they ended up going after the wrong people. And I don't know about them presently because immediately after all of this happened, they deleted their social media or they made it invisible to where it was impossible to find. Of course, they don't call, we don't stay in touch in any way. So I have no idea if they were able to get this business started. I highly doubt it because mom still spoke to a connection whom she knew, who also was friends with that group, and he was a little more of a sane person. And when mom asked him one time out of curiosity how stuff was going, he said that no much progress was being made. So my gut from the very beginning, from the get go, was like, Zam, how come no one is talking about this business? That's the primary reason we came here. It's okay to have a day to just catch up on what's going on in our lives, but we need to get to business at some point. And it was just not happening. These people's focus was not there. So, anyways, let me see what you guys have posted. I know that I haven't been looking at the comments because I so let's see what you guys have to say. Hello from Baltimore. Hello. You know what really grinds my gears, Peter Griffin? Yeah, I get my gears grinding. I came here for the ASMR. Is it bad that I don't know what that is? Define for me. This whole story is full of hidden messages and clues. Bad girl, lol. Fort Riley, Kansas, home of the big red one. I'm back, went to the store, ate dinner, and walked the dog, and you didn't even see I was gone. I didn't notice that there wasn't much posting activity going on, but yeah, yeah, there's a lot more details to the story, but at least I mentioned the main stuff. And honestly, if I look at it, this is more of a social experience more than a personal, how can I phrase this? One of personal gain or personal construct. It was an awful social experience, just, yeah. As someone who lives with a person who breaks down every time I use a tone they don't happen to like, I know what it's like to deal with the overly sensitive and ignorant. It's so frustrating. Yeah, I mean, seriously, all I was doing was telling her, look, I am not the person at the pump. I am not the person who is refueling. Therefore, the gases that, if exposed to a spark, may ignite, I'm not posing a threat. Chill out, girl. It was frustrating because I just, I said it to her in like very polite terms. I don't remember now because it's been, like half a decade since this happened. But I'm like, why are you breaking down? Take it easy, girl. Just, we're having a disagreement, period. But I'm not beating you up, but you're acting like Like I have to, I don't know, have a different pitch to my message. No, take it like a woman. Just it's something that you're ignorant at, and you know me. Why not take advantage of the source? Learn from me. You know, I know there's stuff I could have learned from her, but if my mind is traveling faster than yours, it's okay. I mean, you'll catch up or you'll surpass me in other departments, like the fashion one. I'm sure you can educate me on makeup and junk, but don't be offended if I don't display interest because it's not the way I am. Period. There's some debate to be had about action and reaction versus intent in some cases, but most times I think it tends to be pretty cut and dry. Do you have the capacity to manage being queen of Kyrgyzstan? Can you handle the keys to the kingdom of Kyrgyzstan? Has chosen you to be queen. Okay, good. We need women that stand up in Kyrgyzstan. No, we do not need genderless women. Fingerless women. Oh, heads to the face, great look. As the queen of Kings, you will get to travel the nation, shopping at thrift stores across the land. Be safe, my queen. I must go now. Praise. Um, Kik. The queen of Kek will own a thrift store and help the poor of the land. She will play the keyboard and sing Kek's hymns. I shall return. That was a fun interaction. I'll see you soon. And hi Zamri, I came to so sorry Zamri. It's all right. I'll be here. I'll always be here, and you can always go through the playback if you really feel like sitting through an hour of me telling a story. How is everybody? I've never been in Kansas before, but would love to go to see how it is. All that you have to know about Kansas is that it is flat, and the thunderstorms over there are no joke. Hey, you have superstars on your wall. That's nice and all. Thanks. I love your videos so much. I'm glad you like them. I love making them, that's for sure. All right, guys, I believe this is a good stopping point. I really don't have much to contribute to the story. Um, if you're curious about any more details, don't be afraid to ask. But the reason I share this story is because, again, if it weren't for all that chain of events, I would not be currently living here, let alone the life that I know now would have been so much different. And maybe it would have been different in that it would have been better because maybe with my mom and I not having wasted all that money, God knows what we would have accomplished, right? But at the same time, it's good to have moments like that where you just start over because you get to really measure yourself and your capabilities. And if we made it through that, then that means that we make a good team. And I learned a lot about management, like management of funds, and I also know how to just be wise about what to spend money on and what not because unfortunately you need money to make stuff work. So, but yeah, it was nice. I mean, it may sound terrible and it was frustrating, I'm not gonna lie, but when it comes to the stuff that we went through, like physically and all that, it wasn't bad. I mean, it wasn't. Here we are. And the only thing that I regret is that I had to give up my cat from the time, from back in the time. His name was Nico. And yeah, I've mentioned him before, but that was definitely my cat husband. He was so affectionate, so cute, so nice, so cuddly, so kind. And we just made a good team, period. And the way I lost him was that I was visiting my godfather, and he escaped from his little kennel somehow. And then we were scheduled to return home the next day early in the morning, and he did not turn up by then. So he appeared the next day or 2 days later after we left, and my godfather was, he's back, this and that. And I'm like, well, realistically, we cannot go back and get him. And at the same time, I'm glad that we didn't go back and get him because these people knew that we had a pet, and they were saying that because the house was not theirs, pets were not allowed. And I'm like, am I going to leave my cat living in the car? you know. And then I don't think he would have survived the stress of the heat, the weather changing, and then the clutterness of moving. Like we were in a truck the whole time, and it's if he got lost to where we couldn't find them, it was for good reason because I would have been traumatized if I would have had that cat die on my hands, you know. Um, so I'm glad that he got lost. I don't know what happened to him after that. Maybe maybe my godfather's neighbor, she was good with animals. I feel like she might have adopted him. But yeah, I it took me 2 years to get over losing that cat. Like it's not like I was just sobbing and crippled over it. It's just that I kept blaming myself. I felt guilty. I felt like I was a terrible owner. How could I lose him? And not only that, but how could I not go back for him? Well, I could not go back for him because my godfather lived about an hour and 40 minutes away from where we used to live, or more like an hour and 20 minutes, something like that. And we were going to move, I think, the next day, or maybe the next day. That's when we started loading the truck, and then mom and I would depart like at 4 a.m. to hit the highway and be on our way to Kansas. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That has to be the one thing from the whole trip that just hurt me right here. But anyways, I enjoyed that cat for 3 years, so I just look at it as it's one of those things that you just have to let go. It's a connection that you have to let go. It's a relationship that you just have to let go, even though you didn't want to. So anyways, I got over it, and now I have a crocodile in the house. So, anyways, guys, I'm rambling now. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I'll see you soon.